Good morning. Good morning, everybody. What's going on? I hope you guys are having a good day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How are you, babe?
How are you? Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We've been on you put me on a fast this week,
We're on a fast/detox. Yes, we are.
but the fast is not going by very
It's
fast.
going by very slow. You want to slow down time? Go on a
No,
fast for five
no.
days.
Oh, yeah, exactly, exactly. I have not eaten real food this is day 4 of our fast, but we're fasting to get ready for the All Black National Convention. How has the fast gone for you as far as like eating, cutting food and all that?
I think this is a great time for me because I've been very busy this week, getting
Mm,
everything prepared for the convention, and then I have my own work to do, and then I have a full-time job, boys.
a full time job. Oh, you
I
talking
do
about
have a full-time job,
that university crap?
my university job. So I got like three big things. And then I have kids and I got you, I got family, I got all sorts of
Mm.
stuff happening.
Well, at least I'm
So I've
not.
been very busy.
Well, I'm glad to not be put in the category with the kids. Because a lot of moms will say, "Well, I got 5 kids. My husband's one of them."
Well, I mean, it takes work. I'll just put it that way.
Well,
Shuffling kids out in the morning, this morning, and
oh yeah,
every
that was
morning.
something else. Yeah, yeah. So, good morning, everybody. How are you all doing today? Let us know what city you're coming from. And in case you don't know, Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia is basically where my wife and I get together and we literally lay against our pillows in the morning and have professor conversations against our pillows. And then it's literally that basic because we realized how many interesting conversations we would have in the morning. And I said, I wonder if people would be interested in hearing from two black professors in the morning, like who are laying in the bed just talking about all kinds of crap. So that's where Pillow Talk came from. And so, anyway, how many of you are aware? Give me a yes or no if you're aware of what is called the Great Resignation. Let me know if you've heard that term. Hey, H Town Click and Asha Muhammad and Angie B. How many of you have heard about the Great Resignation? Has anybody heard that term publicly? Give me a yes in the chat if that term is familiar to you. Basically, the Great Resignation is where a lot of people are quitting their jobs.
Look at this. They are quitting their jobs. And I think it's so interesting because we talk a lot about what liberals think, but I think what was fascinating is that a lot of conservatives were saying that the problem is that we have all this government handouts and unemployment checks are making it an incentive for people not to go to work. So that was sort of the conservative theory about why people aren't returning to work. And then now we got people who are just like, okay, all of that's dried up and I'm still not returning to work. So I think it's just bigger than just that.
Yeah, I think it's much bigger than that. I'll tell you what, it's now Terry says that people are not quitting, they're being forced to resign because of the mandates. That's
Oh,
that's a
that's a good one.
well, it's a valid point for sure. I
Hmm.
think that the challenge with that though is that people were quitting way before the mandates.
That's true.
If
But
you
what
go
were
ahead.
you going to say?
No, I was gonna say I know a lot of people who just said I don't want to work because I hate that job and I want to do something better with my life.
Yeah, well, I think that, okay, so for some people, they were really spooked by this, pandemic. They were
Hmm.
really, really, really super spooked. And so just the thought of going back into this big, busy office is kind of causing a lot of anxiety for people. Just that being around people is causing them like, oh my God, do they have this? Like, there are some people who really bought into it. Now, there's a segment of people who don't want to return because they're just afraid.
Mm,
So, fear is one reason.
mm. Yeah,
Hmm.
I can see that. I can see that. Well, I have a hippie spiritual
Yes.
explanation, which is something I've been sharing for a long time. I mean, you guys may know for years I've been teaching at the Black Wealth Boot Camp. The URL's on the screen if you want to check it out. And the whole premise of the Black Wealth Boot Camp that we created maybe in 2015 was get off the corporate plantation. And in a way, it
Mm.
was kind of a Marxist ideology that actually had some elements of free enterprise, business development, meaning, that I figured out, I remember 20 years ago saying to myself, why am I spending all this time at work when I should be living my life? Who taught you? And I studied the history of industrialization, and how um they create marketing and indoctrination campaigns just like they're doing right now with stuff like the jab, or whether it's some social movement or whatever. They indoctrinate people. And one of the things that they did with their indoctrination was they convinced American workers that the corporation was something that you should be serving for your entire life, that
Mm-hmm.
you should spend more time at your job than you spend with your own children. And that's not natural. I think 100 years ago, 150 years ago, people would be like, why would I want to spend more time at a job than I spend with my own kids?
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is 2 points. Like, one point is that now the workforce is shifting to different areas. Like, we don't want office jobs anymore. We don't wanna work for someone else. Maybe the workforce is shifting into different areas, and it's not being captured by
Mm.
what we're seeing. A second thing is that, yeah, so we are being conditioned to go to work 9 to 5. It's almost like I just sent the kids off to school. They go to school Monday through Friday all day long, and they come home. And so that's just setting us up with the rest of their life is going to be like that. You get up early in the morning, the sun isn't even up, and they're on the bus to go to school. So
Yeah.
it's like that's preparing you for what life is going to be like for the rest of your life, just living for the weekend. And so people are like tired of it. We got a taste of what it's like. Actually, what's really interesting is that, working from home, like, why return back to work when you work from home? You're effective, you're getting your work done remotely, and you doing it in your pajama pants. What's the point of going back to work? Like, why go back to work and do the work when you can do it at home effectively? Like, that's what this pandemic, when everything shut down, that's what this pandemic is telling us.
Hmm. Well, that's the thing. What a lot of people don't realize is that going to work every day, sitting in traffic, for an hour,
Oh my goodness.
and all this other crap that we are used to doing, and then going to the work and having people in your office interrupting you all day long so they can come by and stand by the water cooler and talk to you about stupid stuff. Like all these things are productivity killers. And I remember when I
It's
tell.
stressful. I mean, think about, you're in traffic. Can you imagine? You haven't even gotten to work. It's been 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours since you've waken up in the morning, and you got to get the kids out. I'm just thinking about breakfast and getting dressed and wearing hard shoes on your feet. It's so stressful. And then getting in your car and the gas that it takes and all the money that it takes. You haven't even gotten to work and you're exhausted already. But go
Hmm.
ahead, boys. I'm sorry. I
No,
had a
no,
thought.
well, when I took my first job at Syracuse University, um, I had a guy that was one of my advisors. His name was Renee Stoltz. He's very, very smart, very well respected in his field, and he wanted me to go to a better university. He didn't want me to go to Syracuse. He felt that uh, I was the only black person in the country to get a PhD in finance that year. So he felt like maybe a Big Ten school or higher would be better, right? But I chose Syracuse, not just because they were willing to hire me before I graduated, which was a big deal because I wanted to make some money. I didn't, I wouldn't, I was literally going to go from almost nothing to having like a good salary. But also, I liked the fact that Syracuse was a city that where there weren't a lot of distractions. I didn't want to live in a big city. Also, the place I chose to live was 13 minutes from my job, and I only had to go into work twice a week. And I did that strategically because I told my grandmother at the time, rest her soul, I said I did a calculation of how much time I would be wasting driving to work every day
Hmm.
and going into the office, all the time. And I said I can be far more productive if I stay home. I can be far more productive if I stay home, if I'm close to the office and I don't go to the office very much. And I used to say these things a lot, and I think a lot of people thought I was just weird, you know. And the pandemic was interesting because I remember thinking, oh, now the cat's gonna be out of the bag. Now everyone on Earth is gonna get a chance to experience the thing that some of us figured out 20 or 30 years ago. Like that whole going to work crap, honestly, I'm not saying there's anything shameful about it, but you're missing like thousands of hours of living. Like your life is shorter. It's like the difference between a person dying at the age of 75 or 80 and versus a person dying at like 45 or 50. That's how many years of your life you're giving away with the corporate plantation. So you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, and I think with me, I was really concerned because I'm teaching practice classes. Can you imagine teaching practice class? I'm teaching people how to practice being a therapist, how to have interviewing skills, and I'm not even meeting with them in person. I never thought this was possible, but it is so possible, boys. Like, I have students now who they just record themselves. They're able to post those recordings of them practicing, and I can give them really good detailed feedback, something that I was never able to do in the classroom because they're all kind of talking at the same time. They critique each other. But now we can actually, online technology and the things that we can do online is so much more effective that actually in some ways I think it's more effective than seeing them face to face, because you don't have time to hear everybody's thoughts. But when they're actually engaging with each other and having discussions online, everybody must participate. So now I know what everybody's thinking, which when I was in the classroom, I only knew what like a couple of students were thinking at a time. And so I'm finding that this online sort of learning is actually way more efficient. And I think the students are learning more in this format.
Mm. By the way,
Yeah.
everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. This is where we lay against our pillows and wake up in the morning and, with our groggy voices, have conversations about things that are happening in the world. We like intelligent conversations. So if that's your thing, if you're into that, we hope you will subscribe. And also, you can follow Alicia at Coaching with Dr. Alicia on Instagram or coachingwithdralicia.com. And also, Dr. Alicia is going to be joining us at the All Black National Convention, and she's going to be doing some relationship and therapy sessions out there. If you guys are interested in coming down, some things you can't just do over a Zoom meeting, and we find that Black love is hard to simulate uh, through the internet. It's easier if you're there with people and you can engage. So we got a lot of good stuff happening. Just in a few days, and in 1 week we will meet in Orlando. It's not too late to fly down. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. We sold out of our vendor spots, but we do have some spots for sponsors. So if you have a brand, I have 1 million subscribers that I'd love to tell about your brand. So we'd love to get some sponsorship if you'd like to support and be a part of it. So anyway, allblacknationalconvention.com, that's the URL. And we will be having speed dating because Alicia believes that there's a lot of really intelligent Black people who are dating idiots right now and running into losers and people that just are not a good fit for you. So we incorporated speed dating for the first time this year, where you can hook up with somebody that you hopefully you will hook up in a meaningful way, not in a way that's just out something that's worthless and temporary, but that's your choice. All right. So anyway, with that being said, so here's something I found. I'm gonna share this with you, babe. I want you to see this.
Okay.
I actually found a list of what was it? Hold on. This was something that showed. This was a critique that somebody mentioned, is that a lot of people were quitting their jobs because workers' salaries were not, just really keeping up with inflation, that they weren't growing into what they should be.
Hmm.
And here's one graphic of the um, number of employees that are quitting every year since 2010. And you can see, general,
2010.
yeah, so you can see generally that there's like an upward trend of people just leaving their jobs, that they're just like, you know what, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. And what some people relate it to is just the wages. They're saying that, and this is something I've discussed before on the platform, that real wages for workers have not gone up. Inflation, the government tries to create inflation, right, to keep the economy, to boost the economy. When the economy dips, they like to inflate things a little bit, the same way you inflate your tires, right? But inflation is like putting air in your tires. If you put too much air in your tire, what happens? It pops,
Hmm.
right? So Jay Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, his number one job is to create inflation so that the economy will reflate itself and grow, right? But the
Hmm.
problem with the way they do inflation, with the trickle down, is the inflation doesn't actually help everybody. The inflation helps rich people, or people who own assets. That's one of the reasons why, in the Black Business School, I'm constantly talking to the students about finding a way to own assets. You got to own stock. You got to own, at some point, own some real estate, etc. Because what happens is that when they do their inflation, it causes a couple things to happen. It causes the prices of goods and services to go up. It causes it causes the value of like stocks and bonds to go up. it causes the value of real estate to go up. So if you own stocks, as you own real estate, then boom, your money's going up. Um, and if you sell goods, like if you're a corporation that's selling products, then your revenue's gonna go up because of inflation. What it does not do, and I don't know if this was a trick that they played or not, but it does not cause wages to go up for workers.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And in social work, we call this the working poor. I mean, 75% of people who have government assistance, so there still is some safety nets. 75% of people who collect welfare, so to speak, they work. 75%. So we have two, and most of them are families. Most of
Mm.
them is a mom and a dad who's working, and they have family. Most of the people on welfare are married. People don't know that.
Most?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I am very, you can check me on it. But
Wow, I did not know
75%,
that.
75% of the individuals who are on welfare, who receive some sort of assistance from the state, they get up every day and go to work every day. It's just their salaries are so depressed that they aren't the salaries aren't keeping up with inflation. Therefore, it's a reliance on food stamp program, a reliance on some decent health care, because health care is not necessary. It's so expensive. You can't even afford health care. And so that is the situation we have right now.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have the chart up here that shows
Yeah.
the percentage of workers by age who are earning minimum wage. So 43% of 60 to 24-year-olds are making minimum wage. 25% of the people aged 25 to 34 are making minimum wage. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a big deal considering that minimum wage really hasn't gone up that much.
It needs to go up, and
It's
minimum wage needs to be a living wage.
Yeah, well, people are making like the minimum wage that's out there now. Like I remember a few people making that amount when I was in college, and it's been
Yeah.
a while since I've been in college. I mean, I think that's crazy. And it's just ridiculous that so what has happening? I believe part of the reason that a lot of people are not going to work is, you're forcing me to sell hours of my life, thousands of hours of my life, and you're not even paying me that good.
Mm-hmm.
What am I signing up for?
Not even aren't they paying you that good, but they're not necessarily treating you that well. It's like conditions of work. The conditions of work are so poor.
Mm,
You're working in high stress jobs. Hire more people, not hire more people. There's so many people who are doing the work of three people, and so you're taking up the slack because employers are not hiring or can't hire or whatever. And so now the existing, and that could also contribute to the high burnout rate of workers. Is just that we just have way too much work to do. I can't get it all done. It's way too stressful. I'm burned out from this job.
hmm Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's one of those things where you can see a lot of people that are just kind of consciously making choices that work for them, and I
Mm-hmm.
and I support that 100% because corporations are going to do what's best for themselves. They're not going to do what's best for the worker. They established that a long time ago,
Oh,
and so the worker has to do what's best for himself or herself.
so it's going to backlash because if the workers say we're not going to do the work, either they quit or they're just not going to participate in it. How are these corporations going to function?
Well, I think personally,
It's a war.
well, right. What I think is at least one thing that's appears to be happening is corporations are starting to pay more money. They're starting to offer incentives. Companies, Amazon and some others are offering to pay college tuition if you want to go to school. They're obviously having to increase their salary. A big part of the reason that the wages stayed flat for such a long time is because there was a strategic effort to dismantle labor unions, which was undermining the human capital base, the power of human capital for American workers. It was a divide and conquer thing because the power of unions was that they actually brought people together and said, if we
Mhm.
all work together, then
Collective bargaining.
yeah, then we could do collective bargaining. We have as much leverage as the big capitalist who controls all the resources. But when they busted up labor unions, they chopped them into little pieces, and it reminds me of back in 96 or 97 when there was a lockout. Does anybody remember? How many of you, give me a yes or no, does anybody remember the NBA lockout from the early 1990s or mid 1990s? Back in, I want to say 1990, or maybe it was 1999 or something like that. Does anybody remember The NBA lockout. Give me a yes or no if you remember when there was a big lockout and the players were kicked out by the owners. Um, Tell me if you remember that. And I want to show you guys something that that I'll show you exactly why the lockout happened, and then I'm going to explain to you how it relates to what we're talking about today. So the lockout if you don't know, the lockout happened because of this guy, the kid who changed everything. But this guy, he's not a kid anymore. His name's Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett signed to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he was a teenager. He come out of high school, and they gave him an ungodly amount of money. Is like it was an amount of money that would even be considered a lot of money even now. And everybody freaked out back in the 90s because nobody was making that kind of money. I want to say it was like over 20 million a year. And a lot of the players were making like less than 5 million. So the owners were like, holy crap, if you are paying this dude all this money, we're now going to have to pay our stars the same amount because all the stars were like, well, I'm better than him. I've done more than him, so I should make the same amount. So the NBA owners decided to lock the players out, and there was an extensive negotiation that took place over a long period of time. It was really ugly. There's Allen Houston in that picture. Allen Houston is actually, he's from Louisville. Like me, I went to high school with him.
Mm-hmm.
I know his family. And then you
Okay.
got, I think there's Dominique Wilkins. That's how long. Wow, is that
Oh
Dominic?
goodness,
Oh,
that's
that's a long time ago.
back in the day.
You got
Yeah.
Patrick Ewing wiping the
Mm-hmm.
sweat off his head because I guess he's nervous. And the thing about the lockout that was interesting that I observed, I remember I was in graduate school at the time, kind of taking it in, was that the owners kicked the players' asses in the negotiation. The owners every issue, the owners pretty much made them buckle and get on their knees and take whatever they were going to give them. So that's how you got certain things in the NBA, like where the rookies make a fraction of what they're really worth. Like they'll make like a couple million a year or whatever, when really they're worth like 10, 20, 30 million a year to the team. All that happened during that lockout. That's when that was all established by the owners to say, we're going to control the amount of money we pay you. Well, how did the owners have so much power? Well, the reason the owners had so much power was because David Stern, who was the NBA commissioner at the time, basically told the owners, he said, look, if you all are not 100% in line with each other, if you're not 100% unanimous in the way you vote on every resolution, then you won't win. Right? He said, if you are not, he said, you must be in complete lockstep, because with the players, they were able to do divide and conquer. The players were kind of all over the place. You had players that were making, tons of money, like Michael Jordan, and then you had players that were barely getting by. They couldn't even pay the rent. Maybe they either weren't making much money, and/or they were financially irresponsible and were in a position where they were living paycheck to paycheck. So one of the things that NBA Commissioner David Stern did was he said to the owners, he said, you can basically use a divide and conquer on these players. Uh, because there are so many of them and because they all have different economic incentives, the poor against the rich, we're going to let that divide happen and we're going to take advantage of that divide. So in every single vote, I paid very close attention. I was in grad school. I was reading and studying every day and I was watching it very closely. Every single time the owners would vote on any resolution, they always voted unanimously. Every time. When the players would vote, it would be like all over the place. 60-40, 70-30. Like, the players would argue and they were arguing in public. They started arguing with each other. And next thing you know, the owners were able to win. Management won. The owners of capital won. What do you get from this? Well, I think the same thing happened in America. Thank you for letting me get this long-winded explanation. I appreciate this. In America, the owners of capital got the labor unions destroyed. They created an environment where we're fighting against each other, and workers have pretty much been screwed for about the last 30 or 40 years. There used to be a time in the 1960s and 70s and even the 80s where a hardworking person could get up and go to work every day, get a little education, a little skill, and make a good life for himself. Those days are kind of done. And at the same time, you're seeing that rich people are making more money than ever. What do you think about my explanation?
A very interesting explanation. I think I want to talk a little bit more about just employers. Like I think a long time ago, back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, I think employers would invest in their workforce. So they would
Mm,
have conversations such as, like, where do you see yourself in this company? We'd like to groom you for upper mobility. And I think that there's so many good workers out there who just get placed in this position where employers just need them to do one job, but they don't see a future in this corporation where they can
mm,
see themselves growing and can see themselves getting promoted and having their leadership skills recognized. It's just almost like you're hired for this job and this will be the job that you do forever. And we're not interested in you as a person. I
mm,
think like a lot of employees, and I think like a long time ago, people would say like, you finish college, you go and work at one company for 30 years, for your entire life, you'd work at one company
mhm.
because you just felt like this was home for you. It was more than just punch in, punch out. It was a position that you had, and it was aligned with what your personal values were. And it was a way more, I don't know what to say. It was just way more intimate. And like right now, it's just like, do this job and be done. Like no one cares about you as a person.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't get a watch. Remember, you used to get like a Rolex if you worked at a company for 50 years or something. I don't
now
know.
now
They
it's
would.
a now it's a Timex.
Now it's just like you don't get any recognition, no recognition at all.
Well, a lot of people are quitting their jobs, and they're not regretting it, and I'm happy for them. I think that if you're quitting your job, you got to make sure you have a plan. And I'm hopeful that you'll make sure you think it through. Don't believe that these people online that make you think you can just go and make $1 trillion on the internet in 2 weeks or whatever, or go and trade cryptocurrency and make a whole bunch of money
Overnight.
overnight. Yeah, yeah, I mean, things take time, but I do believe that what this kind of does is it opens the door for a lot of other possibilities in your life that you didn't know about. And the best part is not the financial side. Sure, there's money out here being made for sure, but it's really the spiritual side was the part that did it for me. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you have on the job feel like you've been hit by racial discrimination? How many? Give me a yes or no if you feel like somebody has discriminated against you, either before you got the job by not giving you the job at all, or while you're on the job, by giving the promotion to the white woman down the hall instead of you, or whatever. Right? Give me a yes in chat. Okay, Regina and Jay, Vanda. Yeah. Well, let me say this about thing about racial discrimination on the job. There are studies that show that racial discrimination on the job is very harmful to your mental and physical health. Like they literally have studies that show that people die earlier because of the racial microaggressions, like almost like getting little stabs in your kidney, over and over again. And
Who wants to return to work for this? I don't want to return. I don't want to work with Becky. Becky got on my nerves. I like to sit at home and hang out with my family. Now, this is what
mm,
I wondered. I thought
Karen.
Karen,
I thought
Becky,
we were calling.
whoever.
I thought we were calling. I thought we were calling the Karens. I thought Karen
And
was the.
Chad, I don't know what's the guy equivalent. But the thing is that maybe people stayed at home and they got their home life together. I'm telling you, this pandemic, man, if you were on the fence, you ain't on if you're on the fence with the person that you're with, you either was pushed over to the other side or you had to come back over. So I think people had to rededicate themselves to themselves
Mm,
during this pandemic and decide what they want around them. So maybe they worked on developing their home life in a way. They got their home in order and they're finding that this is a very peaceful place and they don't want to go back to work with Karen and Chad and
mm,
Becky.
Karen, Chad, and Becky.
Becky, who's just going to get on their nerves. I don't want to do that.
I love that
I'd
whole.
rather sit at home and starve
Well, I'm
than to
glad. I'm
deal
so
with that.
glad people started talking about Karen. Do you know something? Did I ever tell you? I'm sure I told you about this.
What?
Like Karen is what kept me from ever going in corporate America in the first place. When I got that, remember that internship I told you about I had in Boston, where
Yes.
they paid me all that money. It was with GE, but they assigned me to work for a Karen.
She didn't understand you. She didn't get you at
I
all.
remember her name. I remember her first and last name. I won't say it because, like, it's not right. But her name was Mary. That was her first name. So she wasn't a Karen. She wasn't a Becky, but she was a Mary.
Mary.
And
Hmm.
Mary was a bitch, man. She was so mean.
Yeah, they're vicious, man.
Oh my god! And this
They
lady,
they could be on you. Every little mistake you make, they on top of you.
do you know? I still think about this horrible lady 30 years later and how uncomfortable she made me at the job. And I'm 19. I'm trying to learn the ropes, trying to climb the corporate ladder. I showed up. I had a briefcase. I had my little paisley tie on. I tried to be somebody.
No, you now.
Yes, I did. I had a briefcase. That's how serious I was. And this damn lady,
She knocked you down.
it
She
was
put you in your
emotional. Yeah,
place.
I didn't feel welcome. I did not feel welcome.
Hmm.
You know, and it's just kind of like, and that is what made me say I will never work on the corporate plantation. I'm not doing it. I'd rather be broke. I'd rather just whatever I got to do.
Hmm.
you know so anyway, so I don't blame people for quitting their jobs. And actually, another interesting stat you guys may not know about is the wealth gap. This is a chart of the gap between the rich and the poor. This wealth gap has grown and grown and grown, and this actually is not even a good chart. This only goes to 2013. Let
Oh
me just
yeah.
tell you that if they take this chart out to 2021, that gap skyrockets.
Hmm.
And you see that the top 10% are up there in the light purple. The 51 to 90th percentiles are in the dark purple. The bottom 50% is on such a low level you can't even see it. So they have an inequality problem in
Yeah,
America,
they do.
and
Yeah.
they're not addressing it. And now, God bless them, people are just saying, F you, I'm not coming back to work.
Hmm.
We're not doing this
This
no
is a
more.
serious problem for employers.
Yes.
Some major changes are going to have to happen. I think some of them are doing taking work from home jobs
Well,
with a pay cut. They like, you know what? I'd rather make less money and have a good peace of mind. Maybe I won't go out to dinner as much. Maybe I won't go
mm,
on vacation as much. I'd rather sit at home than to have to stress out for maybe a week out of the year where I can actually go on vacation.
well, I tell you what, I think it's anybody who's thinking about doing it, I really hope that you um are thinking through what your plan is, right? That's the main thing I would like to sure you all keep in mind. Like, don't just jump out there and do it. Be thoughtful about it. But if you think about it and you plan it, don't be scared. Like, if you've thought it through and you feel like it's right for you, and remember, your life is short. You only got one life to live up in this mug. And you
Hmm.
and don't sell it to the corporate plantation. Like,
Or be around people you don't even like.
oh God, that's terrible. That's a terrible feeling.
Maybe the pandemic, when things were shut down, maybe it was a relief.
Uh-huh.
Oh, thank goodness.
Uh-huh. I
I
heard
can just
that.
go home and be with my dog.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I found this chart on why people are quitting their
Oh,
jobs.
what does it say?
So here's what it says. It says relationships with coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
You got crappy coworkers. Lack of management's recognition of employee job
I
performance.
said that. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Lack of contribution of their work to the organization's business goals. So you're working really hard and
And
it's
the
not even
it's not
at
meaningful. Yeah, people want to do work that's meaningful. They want to have
mm,
work that's impactful. Especially the
mm,
millennials. I think that was like the biggest thing with millennials is that millennials were excellent for social work. We loved them in our field because they were actually doing something that was impactful. And
mm.
they would go out and do their internships and they felt really it was very thrilling for them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll tell you, it doing meaningful work is, to me,
Hmm.
more rewarding than doing like just profitable work. Because the thing about money that's interesting is, and I'm probably a little bit spoiled in terms of how I say this because I've made some money, right? So I had to kind of really reflect on my life because I didn't realize until I made a little bit of money how I dedicated my whole life to trying to
Hmm.
make more money.
Yeah.
And then when you get to a point where you have enough money, you're like, well, what am I doing this for? Like, this is stupid,
Oh,
you
we've
know?
had plenty of conversations like that.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I need my therapist. My therapist's wife. I'd be like, baby, hit the button. I need you to bill me. Send me an invoice. Cause
Oh no,
I
it's
need to go. I'll go in your office and I really will lay on the couch.
you do.
I'll be like, I have a problem. Can you help me with my problem? And it's just kind of one of those things where, like I really encourage people to take the moment to really reflect on what is your life about? What is it worth? I mean, it can't just be about working every day. It can't just be about chasing another dollar or whatever. It doesn't mean dollars don't matter. It just means
Hmm.
that there's got to be more out there for you. And I believe that there is, and I encourage you to not be scared to pursue it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool because we get it's like different types of students that we get in our. And I teach in a master's program for social work. It's different. It's really interesting. Sometimes we'll get like housewives who will come in and say, you know what, my kids are grown up now, and I've always wanted to be like a school social worker and a therapist. And they come in, they're interesting in the classroom. But we also get people who are like lawyers, who are like business people, who just like, I can't do this. I cannot do this job every day. I need to do something way more meaningful.
Mm,
And now is the time I'm going to take that leap of faith. And I'm
interesting.
quitting my job, and I want to go back and really have an impact on society. I love those students too.
Yeah. Well, you know
Yeah.
what? Uh, check this out. So somebody in the chat,
Oh, okay.
somebody asked us an interesting
What
questions.
they say?
I think they're new. Gypsy Soul Tasha says, "Are you guys married? It's my first time here. I can't remember. Are we married? Are we?
Of course, we're married,
We're
boys.
married, right? Is that?"
Very much married. And guess what? Marriage is not a piece of paper. So
I'm kidding. I know that we're married. Oh my god.
marriage is not a piece of paper. It is not a legal thing to me.
Yeah.
Marriage is a mentality.
Oh, so it's not a piece of paper.
It's not a piece of paper. No, that's
Yeah.
not what marriage is.
That I do agree. I was gonna show some pictures of our wedding, but I'll find them
I'm
later.
sure you have them.
Yeah, I'll find them later. I'll share. Here, let me see. Here we go. I think
Oh
I.
no, don't put Oh yeah,
Oh,
those
here's a good
pictures.
one. Okay, so let me show you all a picture of.
Wait, which picture?
Gosh, I want them to see. They can see like a picture from our wedding. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, bam. There we go. So
Oh,
so either
I love
either
that picture.
either we're married or we're really good at pretending. Because people create fake relationships on
Yes,
the internet.
they do. And I mean, not even just creating fake relationships. There are people who are legally married, but they're really making a mockery out of marriage. It's not a
Mm,
real marriage.
oh, really? What is it? And
Hmm.
what is a real
It's
marriage?
just for show. A real marriage is the union of the two people.
Is that what it is?
Some people are legally married, but there's no union.
Mm,
Mm-mm. There's no
okay.
commitment there.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. It's marriage can be, the pandemic really tested a lot of people's
It sure did.
marriages. Like it seemed to me that, or just relationships in general. I mean, there was just a lot. And there's another picture, by the way, of my father marrying us.
Oh, look at him.
And my
Look at
dad,
Papa Larry.
he's a great man.
Yes,
My
he
father
is.
is he wasn't my biological father, but he was my father. And he really wanted to marry us, and
He was your dad.
yeah, well, it meant a lot because
Hmm.
he's not his health is not what it used to be, and he toughened himself up to get out there. So yeah, so there we go. So yes, we are married, and actually, my wife is coming to the All Black National Convention, by the way, and she's one of the speakers actually, and so I hope you guys will join us. We're gonna be in Orlando. And we're basically, as a collective, many of us, not just me and my wife, but there's literally 60 speakers that we're bringing to Orlando. And you can learn more at allblacknationalconvention.com. We have some other great people like Riza Islam. Riza Islam, if you don't know him, look him up. Riza is he's been under fire, because he has a certain position when it comes to the jabs and stuff, and
Mm.
and it doesn't go along with what the government's telling everybody to say online, so they keep banning him. But I'm gonna stand by him forever because I think he's a great young leader. Another great young leader that's coming to the convention is this guy, King Randall. King Randall is, I think, 22 years old, and he's actually
Mm.
started a school, which is pretty amazing. There's another assistant, Angela Stanton King, out of Atlanta. Very outspoken, very, just a strong word. And the goal of the convention is to have diversity of perspective. Like, I believe that Black people should hear from lots of other Black people and not just certain people. So we got people like Teddy Ewing flying all the way from Egypt, who's a crypto expert. Carla Ballard, another crypto expert that's coming by. Jay Ortiz, a rapper out of Philadelphia. Lene Javette, a business specialist. Queen Afua who's a health expert, Devon Travell, who created the Black Wall Street game. I mean, I could keep going. I could literally keep going like for about another hour. And also, of course, you guys know we have speed dating this year for the first time. I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Oh, that'll be fun. We will have a good time on the speed dating. If you want to have fun on Friday night, speed dating is Friday night. You
Mm,
want to have fun. We also have speed networking. So even
mm,
if you are spoken for, you can still do participate in activities on Friday during
yeah,
the backyard barbecue.
yeah. We have a lot of cool stuff. So
Yeah.
feel free to reach out if you want to, if you want to either attend or we don't have any more vendor spots that's been sold out. But if you are looking for a chance to market your business, feel free to be a sponsor. I think we have a couple of sponsorship slots, and also hotels. The discounted hotel rooms that we the block that we pulled out of the hotel. Those are sold out, but there are lower cost hotels in the area. And we have a list of those hotels on allblacknationalconvention.com. And the main hotel does have space as well. Do you have golf round? I don't know what that means, Derek. I don't know what you mean by that, brother. So sorry. I haven't played golf for years. You played?
We played golf that one time. You were way better than you said you were.
Oh yeah. You better quit lying,
You
girl.
were so good,
Quit all your
boys.
lying, lady. But anyway,
Stop being modest.
well, anyway, everybody, we're gonna get back to our day and take off, and we'll let you get back to yours. And this is Pillow Talk with
Mhm.
Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins, and basically, we do this, every couple of days or so. So make sure that you subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button for wherever you are. Subscribe, share the video if you'd like to hear from intelligent Black people, and also you can follow Alicia on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia, and her website. She's actually a couples counselor, a licensed therapist, and a full professor of social work. You can actually take a look and at coachingwithdralicia.com. All right, everybody. So please have a great day. God bless you. Thank you for listening. And if you quit your job, don't be scared. If you plan on leaving the plantation, don't let fear be the reason that you don't make your move. Just make your damn move. Let the universe do the rest. That's what I found. In fact, actually, can
The
I
universe is gonna make me.
Actually, before I
Uh
go,
huh.
can I share a quick story about fear in the universe?
Oh, are you gonna take my quote that I told you
No.
yesterday?
What is your quote?
My quote about if fear is the only reason why you're not going to do something,
Hmm.
then that's a signal to you saying that you need to do it.
Yes, I like that.
Fear
That's a
is
great
something you
quote.
just push right on through. But
That's
what
it.
were you gonna say about fear?
Well, what I was going to share was actually when I created the first All Black National Convention in 2016. Where it came from. Did I tell you where it came from?
No,
Oh, I
I
thought I
want to
told
hear
you.
this. I've heard your stories like 100 times, but I don't
Yeah,
know if I've
yeah.
heard this
Here's
one.
what happened. I was in Atlanta and I went to sleep and I woke up and I it came to me like a lightning bolt, like in a dream. And it was like, you need to have a convention. You need to call it the All Black National Convention. So not only did the idea come to my mind, but the perfect
The
name,
name and
the
everything.
name came to me, and that made me feel like when my subconscious gives me a message like that, and it's that clear.
Oh, don't question it. You
Yeah, I
gotta go
don't
for
question
it.
it. It's like you got to make it move. But the problem is we didn't have the money to do a convention. I had never done a convention before.
It'll all come together.
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
called Lene Javette and I was like, we need to have a convention called the All Black National Convention. And here's the crazy part, right? She's like, so when do you want to do it? I said, let's do it in 3 weeks.
You pulled it together in three
In
weeks.
3 weeks. In
That's
three
so
weeks. And
great.
let me tell you what happened. I just went for it, like on faith, and went hard and told everybody about it, marketed like crazy. And we had a packed house. We went to the Shrine of the Black Madonna down in Atlanta. Tons of people came by. I remember Killer Mike and what was the other brother? David Banner. David Banner came by, which was very helpful in terms of getting more people out, and
Hmm.
it was very successful. And the rest is history. We've been doing it every year since.
That is wonderful. That's a great story, boys. You
Yeah.
gotta share that at the convention. How it
Okay.
came to you. It's been 6 years then.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I honestly, to be just not to sound corny, but I really saw that as a message from God,
Hmm.
and I believe that when the universe talks to you, you need to listen.
You've had other dreams that you've shared with me, and you're like, I wonder what that means. And I'm like, that's a big deal, boys.
Yeah.
Remember, you had dreams that people were on your shoulders
Oh
and you were
gosh.
carrying them around. I won't share all
They,
of it.
they were fat people.
They weren't fat people. They were not fat people. But like you've had dreams like that before, and I'll say, no, wait, that's meaningful. You gotta interpret this.
Oof, let me tell you. Shoot, that's why I need my therapist wife, because carrying people on your shoulders ain't what it's cracked up to be. Oh my goodness.
Well, it was a sign.
Well, you know what?
It was a sign of greatness, I think.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Hmm.
I ain't here to quit. And don't you guys quit. Don't quit on yourself. Never give up on yourself. Believe in yourself, and whatever it is you want out of life, learn how to go get it. And
Yeah,
don't
and
give up. Life
conquer
is
your
short.
fears. My
Yes,
goodness.
yes,
So many people just don't do things that they know they need to do just because they're scared.
yeah. Well, they say that most of what you want in life is on the other side of your fear.
Hmm. And you have to learn how to channel. I've learned how. I've been scared of a lot of things, but I just try to channel that fear into like something productive.
Yeah,
That's how I
fear is
overcome it.
energy,
But you
right?
have to recognize it though.
That's true. Fear is energy, and
Hmm.
energy can always be converted into something productive,
Yeah.
right? Like a locomotive, it can always propel you,
Hmm.
or it can freeze you up.
Well,
But
it takes courage.
yeah,
And you have to have people around you to support you, to say, you can do it. Someone that can cheer you on, telling you what you already know.
yeah, that's true.
You need that sort of validation
Well,
with people
if you don't
around
have
you.
the people around you, you gotta go find them. You know.
Yeah, and then get rid of the people around you that's bringing you down.
Oh gosh, yes.
Like, don't call those people back.
You gotta socially distance.
Social
I
distance
went to
from
see
them.
my cousin. I wore a mask.
Well, maybe that's the pandemic. The pandemic is fear itself.
Oh my gosh, you ain't lying. The pandemic. Yeah, the real virus is the virus of fear. By
and
the
and the jab for the fear would be courage.
mm,
We need to take a jab of encouragement and of courage.
there you go.
There
And
we go.
enthusiasm and faith and self
And all of
confidence.
that, yes.
Right on, right on. All right. Well, by the way, I have a life class that actually covers a lot of this stuff, and I'm actually giving it away for free right now. So if you want to take a look, I literally documented my whole strategy on life, like setting goals, staying disciplined, dealing with adversity, overcoming obstacles, dealing with haters, and I documented all that literally because I felt like so many people could use it. So it's free right now. If you want to sign up for free, it's a lifetime membership. Go to blackkeystogreatness.com. And it literally was the result of me coming up with coping mechanisms to just deal with the pressure of trying to be a high achiever. You know, I learned a lot on that journey. It was very painful at times, but but I can tell you this: I ain't quitting. That don't happen. So feel free to take a look if there's something I can help you with. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get out of here. We hope you have a wonderful day. It was a great conversation, Alicia.
Yeah, this is a great conversation. I'm looking at in the chat. There's some good conversations going on in the chat too.
Yeah,
So we got to
yeah,
keep it going.
that's right. Intelligent Black people need each other.
We
So
do.
hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. We hope to see you at the Black National Convention. There's a URL on the screen. There is a virtual ticket if you want to get a virtual ticket. Feel free to do that as well. And we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna solve some problems. So God bless you guys. Please have a wonderful day. We love you. We will see you soon. Take care. Peace.